Hello, gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about how to read a defense. This is one of the most important topics every year. This applies to every single football game. If you want to be a good passer, you need to know how to read a defense both pre-snap and post-snap. So what I'm going to do is explain this from the traditional sense, so what a real quarterback would look for pre-snap and then post-snap, but then I'm going to kind of modify that for how you should be looking at it when you're playing a video game. There's going to be some slight differences from real life to a video game, obviously, so I'll help you guys out with the differences there. Oh, and make sure to stick around to the end because I'm going to post some gameplay where I do live commentary so you guys can see my thoughts in real time. Okay, so let's start this off by talking about pre-snap reads because it's kind of the first step in the cycle. And if you look at this formation 3-3-5 stack, you're going to see that it only has one safety up top. And anytime you see something like that, you're going to see that, typically your play calls are going to be like cover 1 and cover 3 because anytime it's single high, it's typically one of those two. But if you look at a play like Mike Will 2, they basically are showing cover 3, but they are playing a form of cover 2. And you're going to see that that's the case for some other plays as well. So like Tampa sim pressure, that's another one. So just because you see single high doesn't mean it's cover 1 or cover 3. It just means that it's likely cover 1 or cover 3. So this is what it looks like after the play call screen. And it very much looks like a cover 3. Like if this happened to me in game, this would be my initial thought. I would say cover 3, I'm going to put a cover 3 beater on the field. But if you look at the play art, you see that it is in fact cover 2. Now, I will say from a realistic standpoint, people don't really call these kind of coverages. I would say it's very rare. They just really aren't that good, if I'm being honest. So you don't have to worry about being confused post-snap too often, but I just wanted to make it clear that just because you see single high doesn't mean it's cover 1 or cover 3. Now, what people can do now is they can change their coverage shells to disguise. So let's say we use right stick to I guess we can't disguise a cover 2 out of this set, but if we go to let's say 3-3 over, and we do shell cover 2, and then call it cover 3 sky, well, let's have a look at what it looks like. So you're going to see in this case, we have 2 high safeties, and when you see this pre-snap, a lot of people are going to assume this might be a cover 2, this might be a cover 2 man, and it could be a cover 4. There are very slight tells between these coverages, but overall the point is, it's a 2 high safety look, and they are rolling one down into a curl flap, and then this one is going to roll up here into the single high. So the point of pre-snap reads is just to give yourself an educated guess as to what they might be in. That way you can have an appropriate route combination on the field to attack that coverage. Now, what you can do before snapping the ball to get a little bit more information if it's man or zone is by incorporating motion. So use B or circle to highlight one of your receivers. In this case, I'm going to do the outside bunch receiver, and I'm going to do D-pad the left. And we're going to see if somebody follows. In this case, nobody follows, so I'm just going to bring him back over here. I meant to bring him back into the bunch. There we go. But notice how nobody follows, like the slot cornerback doesn't follow him across. It's a linebacker getting wide. And this is always going to be a tell that it is zone every time. Now, again, just to be clear, they can use disguises to make it look like a man coverage, but stay in a zone. I'm not saying it's good, but they can do it. So, if they change their shell to, let's say, a cover 2 man or a cover 0, either one, we'll do cover 0. And we'll do cover 3 sky. If you motion that receiver across, now what you're going to see is I think the safety is just going to follow him out. Okay, so this guy actually follows across. And what you're going to see is we have this curl flat is now on the wrong side of the field. So at the expense of disguising their coverage, they are going to have worse coverage on the field, if that makes sense. So they make it look like man. That might confuse us, but they also don't have a flat zone on the right side of the field anymore. So that's going to be kind of the trade-off with disguising their coverage. Again, you're not going to see this too often, but when you motion this guy across and somebody follows, you can't know for 100% certainty that it is man coverage. It just very likely is man coverage. And then to wrap up the pre-snap read section of this video, you do want to put a route combination on the field that attacks the coverage that you think they're in. So again, you see a single high, it is very safe to assume it probably is a form of cover 3. So that's what I'm assuming when I see this. So I'm going to put something on the field that attacks a cover 3, but it's also not just a cover 3 beater. It's going to be effective versus other coverages as well, just in case they're disguising their coverage. So I might put something on the field like this, bang 8 the ISO, drag the tight end, deep crosser, the slot receiver, and then block my running back. So, we're putting a lot of stress over the middle of the field with kind of like a high-low with 3 routes that can also beat man coverage. So let's say they're in a cover 1, we're not screwed because all 3 routes on the right can beat man coverage. So let's have a look. Okay, so I was right. It's a cover 3. Let's get it to our chunk play. Let's get it to our deep crosser. Okay, so let's set it up again. Deep crosser, drag the tight end, bang 8 the ISO, block the running back. Okay, snap the ball. You're going to see, it's man coverage this time. They ran a cover 1 on us, but we have the deep crosser, we have the drag, and then we have the return route, or whatever you want to call it, the whip underneath. So this right here, this will beat man coverage. The drag will beat man coverage. In this case, he gets covered pretty well, but the crosser can also separate versus man. So, we thought it was a cover 3, but we also had backup options in case, it ends up being man coverage. And that's where some game sense comes in, guys. Like, if you're new to the game, you might not know that, this return route over here beats man coverage. And that's just where playing the game comes in. But, we provide this kind of structure in our ebooks. We have strengths and weaknesses. So you can always just use our offenses and kind of learn the game that way as well. Just a quick heads up, if you guys are a beginner and you want to get good as quickly as possible, go to acemadden.com and become a member. We've helped over 4,000 people get better at the game over the span of 7 years. So it's definitely an effective process, and we have tons of structure for you to get better at the game. So go sign up. Now let's get back into it. Now let's talk about post-snap reads, and I'll make this part a lot quicker because there's really only 2 main things you need to focus on. The first thing is going to be how a real quarterback would read a defense post-snap. So I'll just come out in Tampa 2. And the way the quarterback is going to read this is he's going to snap the ball, and then he is going to check the safeties, because the safeties are going to give you a lot of information regarding what defense they're in. So let's go to instant replay. And this is where, playing the game kind of comes in, some game sense. Because once you snap the ball and you see these safeties are kind of backpedaling back and to the left or to the diagonally, you're going to know that this is a deep half. Because you've played the game so often or so much, you know what a deep half looks like, as opposed to, let's say, an inside quarter or something. So I see this guy bailing out. He's not a safety, but I'm probably going to see him. He's bailing out to the middle, deep middle, trying to get between these safeties and protect it. So, that immediately tells me it's a Tampa 2. So that's why quarterbacks will read the safeties to get information on what's going on underneath the secondary or underneath the shell. So what I'm going to do now is audible to a cover 3. And let's actually go ahead and disguise this to be a cover 2 or show 2. And pre-snap, I'm saying, okay, this is a cover 2. But as soon as I snap the ball and look at the safeties, I'm going to see 1 rolls up to the middle high and then 1 comes down. And that tells me it's very likely cover 3 underneath. The problem is if you use this kind of process of reading the safeties first, in a video game like Madden or college football, your opponent can be doing some crazy stuff underneath his coverage shell. Like he could be doing a double Mabel. He could be manning random guys up. You can't make assumptions as to what's going on underneath the coverage based on what the safeties are doing. So while it gives you information, it doesn't paint the whole picture. Unlike, in real football, it is going to be traditionally more of a vanilla defense. They're not going to be doing like random man-ups in a real defense. Like they could, but that's just the wrinkle. So what I prefer doing when it comes to snapping the ball and then reading something is the first thing I'm going to do is look at the box. And the box is, above the offensive line, basically the defensive front. And I'm going to check to see if they're blitzing me, because if they're blitzing, you have to get the ball out of your hands very quickly. So snap the ball, look at the front, find where the user is, and then move on to my progressions. That's how I prefer to do it. Okay, now let's get into some gameplay, and I'll do my best to kind of commentate in real time what I'm thinking before I snap the ball, and then just walk you through all of that. Okay, so we're starting out on offense now, and I'm having a look at the safeties. I see that safety is kind of wide on the trip side. This is telling me it's maybe a cover 2, so I'll put something on the field that I feel like will do a decent job against the cover 2. Try to split the safeties with this post from RB. Let's have a look. It ends up being a cover 2. Get it to that post. So I'll switch up my formations just to kind of keep it fresh. But in this case, I actually really have no idea what this might be. I think it could possibly be a form of cover 4, but I'll just put something on the field that's going to be decent versus anything. I'm going to read my tight end flat first. Here we go. So I actually don't know what that, I think that was a cover 2. I think it was a cover 2. It was just kind of a weird looking one. So right here, I came out in a formation. I flipped it immediately to see if it was a man or a zone. In this case, this tells me it's probably a cover 3. We have one single high, and they didn't follow over. So I'm just going to read this as if it's a cover 3. I'm going to try to hit the seam to Y. In this case, I just wait for my drag because my seam wasn't there. So I'm going to flip again, see if it's zone. In this case, it probably is a zone. Telling me cover 3 more than likely. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get it to RB. I'm going to do speed out over here on X. Do streak from A. I'll do Y on an in route. So I'm going to try to hit it to RB. Let me see. So in this case, he just kind of bites off that. But that's just because I knew, that was going to attack a cover 3 well. If you don't have good game sense, then obviously you might not know that. But the fact is, I knew it was a cover 3 beforehand, and I got to something that was a cover 3 beater. Okay, so I'm back on offense. And again, they have that wide safety over there on the trip side, and that's telling me it might be a cover 2 zone. So I'll put Y on a streak, try to split these safeties. We'll see if they're protecting between there. And I'll do drag and curl underneath just in case the user stays over there. So right there, I just got pressured extremely quickly. So again, I'm going to run the same concept. Let's have a look. Just going to highball this. Unfortunately, that guy got back a little further than I thought he would. Okay, I'm going to go for this on 4th. Try to hit the backside dig. This might be a cover 3 here. There we go. So he ends up quitting after this play, so I don't have any more clips to show you, but hopefully the few clips I had were helpful to some extent. It was actually kind of hard for me to do this real time, if I'm being honest, but now you have a general idea of how I think before I snap the ball. Anyways, I hope this helps you guys out. Make sure to drop a like if it did, and then if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more College Football 25 content. See you guys in the next one.